Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today, once again, unsurprisingly, we are talking about Manchester United. But more specifically, we are talking about this man on screen here, Antony. And the reason for that is because I think he is one of the players in the fan base who probably divides opinion the most. Some people think he kind of brings a lot of value to the team and see his strengths. Other people think he's a bit too one-dimensional, not quick enough, not direct enough, things like that. However, whatever your opinion is, one thing you can't doubt or argue is that Ten Hag really values him and really sees something in him. If not, he wouldn't have spent close to 100 million on him, he wouldn't have given him so many chances in the team last season and again in pre-season. It feels like Antony is a key player and a big part of his team. And I am on the side of someone who sees why that is. I understand why Ten Hag values Antony so highly. One of the reasons he values Antony so highly, though, is because of what he does off of the ball. Now, of course, you don't just want that when you spend a lot on a player, but it is an important side of his game. For example, he is a good presser. When the opposition have the ball in these areas, he is, one, intelligent, with the way in which he kind of, at times, bends his run to kind of mark this player, but also apply pressure to the ball. But also, he is hard-working. If this ball does find its way kind of out into this left-back position, Antony is then willing to put the work in to get over. On top of that, he's quite tenacious in the way that he duels, he's trying to win the ball back in these areas, quite feisty in the way that he plays, and even when the opposition are coming further forward, Antony is someone who is willing to track back into these areas, stop his fullback being 2v1'd, and put the tackle in. So I think he certainly brings value to the side from a defensive point of view. He's also good on the ball in defensive areas. He is one of the more technically gifted players in the team and therefore one of the more press resistant players. So let's say United are trying to play out from this side and you roll the ball into Antony. He is someone who is actually very good at using his body. Sometimes he'll I don't really know how to describe it. Sometimes he gets almost right under a player and kind of leans on him, and then eventually wins the foul, which he does very well in these deeper positions. But then at other times, he just kind of backs into them, maybe puts his studs on the ball to keep the ball for his side, and then he'll roll it backwards to Dalot, who might then be able to find someone else exposing the space somewhere else. But the whole idea is that, once again, Antony is being quite secure, and he's an outball for United in a slightly different way, because he can use his body to protect the ball for his side, allow other players to get into good positions to receive, and therefore allow Manchester United to play the ball up from the back. So that is something which Antony does very well. So those are two of the reasons why Ten Hag loves him so much. His defensive work rate, his ability to press, his ability to track back, but also his ability to protect the ball in these areas. But like I've kind of hinted at already, when you spend £100 million or close to £100 million on a player, you want a bit more than that. You want something going the other way as well, attacking threat in the final third. And again, I think it's quite clear why Ten Hag likes Antony. And that is because he profiles as one of the only wingers in the squad which really likes to hold his width. He likes to stay really, really wide on the right-hand side, and we know that this is something which Ten Hag values. Ten Hag likes his team to kind of have lots of numbers in the middle, of course, to dominate the ball, perhaps in a shape like this, although it might be different. But he always likes the ability to maybe go backwards, recycle the ball, and then go out to the other side. Having a player which can hold the width is very, very important to do that. Antony is a player which can do that. And of course, again, technically he's very good. He can receive the ball well. His first touch is often very good. And once again, he retains the ball well for Manchester United. What we'll often see from this position is he'll then do 3 or 4 ball rolls just to kind of slowly work his way up the pitch into these areas. But again, it may not be the most exciting thing to watch, but it is a pretty effective method of ball progression. And I understand why Ten Hag likes him for that reason. Something else he has gotten better at since being at United as well is his understanding and his development of the rotations and the role which he's playing in this side. His understanding with his right back is improving a lot. So whether it's Dalot or Wan-Bissaka, he's getting a better understanding of when to kind of play this slipped ball in behind or when to come inside. I really feel like, as such a young player, he is someone who is developing quite quickly and developing his understanding of the game and developing his understanding of what Ten Hag is asking of him. From a tactical point of view, he is getting better and he's adding variety to his game in these areas. Sometimes playing the reverse pass, sometimes kind of playing it simple, maybe sometimes going wider again. However, whilst he may be adding that to his game slightly, one thing that we know he still loves to do is get into this position and bend a shot towards goal, where, to be fair, he can genuinely produce something out of literally nothing, and that is a big thing to have in your side. Someone who, against a low block, can cut in onto his left foot and whip the ball into the top corner. That is a big asset. So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFIFA.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFIFA for 10% off when you order. Now of course, for all of those positives, Antony is still human and he certainly has negative sides to his game. One of the big negatives and the big criticisms of his game is that he is too one-footed, and I think that's completely valid. It's a completely valid criticism. He does come inside too much. At times, yes, he's holding the width initially. He needs to go down the outside and trust his right foot, but he just doesn't. Even in shooting situations, he rarely ever uses his right foot to strike the ball. So in terms of moving forward, he needs to add that to his game. He needs to improve his left foot further to make it even more deadly, but also his right foot. It adds unpredictability to his game. At the moment, when he's in this position, this defender knows what way he's going. They know that he wants to come into this area, which makes it a little bit more easy to deal with from a defensive point of view. If he adds the ability to go down the outside though on his right foot, that would be a big benefit. Something else that Antony was really criticised for last season was his lack of threat on transition, and I think that is something we're going to see changing this year, and there's quite a clear reason. Manchester United, probably as we kind of go into the season a bit further into the season, will go from having the mobility of Weghorst up front last season to Rasmus Højlund this year. That is a big upgrade in terms of mobility, and that therefore changes the role of Antony. Last season, when it was Weghorst in this position, Weghorst was someone who didn't want to spin in behind, instead he wanted to come a bit deeper, leaving United with only Rashford really as the willing runner, meaning that Antony often had to pick the ball up and carry it forward himself, beat players in these positions, get forward into the final third, which isn't really his game. Now, again, this is something he can help himself. He does need to improve in this area. He does need to improve his ball carrying at speed in these positions, because he isn't good enough in that aspect at the moment. However, like I've said, having someone like Rasmus Højlund come into the side will help him so much, because there won't be as much reliance for him to be the runner, because Højlund and Rashford will both look to go this way, in behind the defence, meaning that when United transition, they've got lots of runners on the pitch, you need someone who can drop into this area and then play the ball forward. That is how United and how Antony can really help the transition. And I believe, if I can find it, we do have some examples of this. Starting with this game at the weekend, where I thought Antony kind of played really well in the transition. And we can see it here, he picks up the ball in a deep area. And on this occasion, he is going to carry the ball forward initially. We can see United have got a runner here and Mason Mount. Garnacho's at the bottom of the screen or just off picture, but also Marcus Rashford's making the run forward. This benefits Antony, because he's able to do the initial part quite well. He carries the ball forward for his side, gets into a good area, we can see the runners. Now at this point, he slows the play down. This is where last season it was problematic, because someone like Weghorst wouldn't then make the run off the ball. However, what we can see in this new United team, which Ten Hag is building this season, is that there are more runners. So when Antony comes inside onto his left foot, rather than having Weghorst who is stationary up top, you've got Mason Mount making a run, you've got Marcus Rashford bursting in behind. Like I said, Garnacho is at the bottom off screen, runners for Antony to hit. And then Antony, with his passing, cutting inside onto his left foot, is very capable of doing that. Antony has almost solely led the charge of the transition here. He hasn't had to take a player on because he's got runners around him. And with clinical players like Marcus Rashford, we can see all the runners, Marcus Rashford scores, but it's all because of Antony's ability on the transition, his ability to carry the ball forward, but then play the pass. He also does have the ability to be a runner. I don't think it's necessarily a strength of his, but I think it suits him being a runner off the ball. In terms of ball carrying, he isn't someone like Garnacho or Rashford who can take loads of players on. But we saw again at the weekend his ability to run off the ball. We've looked at this goal several times on the channel now, so I don't want to linger on it for too long. But again, you can see he does make the run off the ball. It's very similar to the run that he made for his debut goal against Arsenal last season. So we can see that he clearly offers a threat in counter-attack. In transitions, he's a pretty good finisher in these positions, and I think we're going to see it improve this season because he won't be expected to carry the ball so far because there will be more runners. The likes of Højlund, the likes of Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford should all help Antony in the transition. Now, something else which Antony was criticised for last year was his lack of output really in the final third, his quite low, quite poor assist numbers. But again, I think this is something we will see improve this season, because what people were particularly critical of was his lack of crosses into the box. But I think we can kind of see the reason why. We can see the reason why he may not have crossed the ball into the box that often last season. And it's because Marcus Rashford was often the striker and Sancho was probably the one arriving at the back post. You'd have to be a genius to see these aren't exactly the best players to aim for in the box. To be fair, Marcus Rashford did improve his heading ability as the season went on, but it's still not his strength. He's not a poacher in the box, and very much the same with Jadon Sancho. I do think that if you take Sancho out, move Rashford to the left-hand side, and again put Rasmus Højlund in the middle, you do see a big change. Now, Rasmus Højlund isn't a typical box striker in terms of his heading ability. He isn't the best header of a football at the moment, but I think we will see him improve in that area. And importantly, one thing he is really good at is his movement. So again, I think a player like Højlund and his profile will massively help Antony this season. And the reason I'm confident of this is because Antony has played with quite a big striker before in his last season with Ajax. Haller led the line. And what we can see, once again using Once Video Analyzer Pro, which you can check out in the link, using the link in the description down below, is Antony's ability to put the ball into the box. Here we can see him on the right wing, little cross with the outside of his left boot on this occasion, finds his target man in the middle. These are the sorts of positions which Rasmus Højlund will be picking up this season. And as a result, Ajax go on to score from it, but it is all because of Antony's delivery. We've got another example here. This one's a little bit different, but once again we've got Antony on the right wing. Now for Manchester United last season, what we would often see was there was no player in here in the box, nothing for Antony to aim for, so he'd come backwards and just play it safe. However, if you give him, once again, a target to aim for in the middle, he's able to cut back onto his left foot, cross the ball in, and who is attacking it? Haller. Again, this is something which Højlund is very, very good at doing. This piece of movement is very Højlund-esque, getting between the two centre-backs, having been closer to the fullback, then bursting in front. Højlund's very good at it. Haller is also very good at it and scored a great goal doing it here. So I do think that we have evidence to suggest that if Antony has the runners to aim for in the middle of the box, he is very, very capable of finding them with his very, very good delivery. So once again, I do think this is an area where Antony would improve this season if he has Højlund in the team. Now, to kind of sum it up, I do understand why people are critical of him. He did cost a lot of money. At the moment, he is a little bit one-dimensional. He didn't produce that many assists last season. I get the criticism. But if I were you, I would give him minimum one more season before you kind of really judge him as a player. Of course, last season was his first year in a new country anyway. It's very, very difficult for players to settle in. Someone like Bruno Fernandes has kind of broken people's expectations. Bruno Fernandes came in and hit the ground running and scored so many goals straight away. But most players don't do that in the Premier League. We claim it's the best league in the world because it's the most competitive, the most difficult. So how can we expect these players to come from abroad and instantly hit the ground running? It doesn't make sense. It kind of contradicts itself. So give Antony one more season, if not two more, especially with someone like Rasmus Højlund in the side. I do think this will really help Antony develop, and I think it's part of Ten Hag's plan. I think it is what he is cooking in the Manchester United attack. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on Antony at Manchester United at the moment. But let me know yours in the comments down below. Apart from that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.